I know. Let me know when you hit record because I can't see on my phone. There we go. Okay, I do see it. Okay. Hey guys, happy Tuesday. Oh my gosh, I love this day when all of us come together and can connect. Sorry, you may hear some chaos in the background for a few minutes. That's the kids. Surprise, surprise. You got to do this as you do life. Seriously. But I am beyond excited to welcome my dear friend, Miss Christie Nix. She is a national marketing director out of Hawaii right now. And I actually don't have your bio in my hand. So, girlfriend, I'm going to let you, and I owe you one, but I'm going to let you go ahead and share your quick story and then let you take it away from there.
Let's be real. The bios really don't mean anything anyways. It's kind of like Charlie Brown's teacher, wah, 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 wah. Like it totally doesn't matter. So,
I know. All they need to know is she is amazing and you just take it all in. Take it over, sister.
Thank you, friend. Oh my gosh, I love your energy. I'll never forget being able to, was it 3 years ago when we hit NMD at the same time and we were standing in line to get our new NMD photos and I was like, this girl has the cutest cowboy boots I've ever seen. And she has fun hair and a fun personality. So I knew I needed to talk with you more. And I love sitting next to you at the NMD meetings. And so this is awesome. Thank you for inviting me to be a part of that.
So excited to have you.
So a little bit about my story is it takes me back, y'all, 17 years. I moved out to Hawaii on a one-way ticket. I was just going to college in Hawaii or going to college in Michigan and it was cold in the winter and I was done. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could move to someplace warm? And lo and behold, this email shows up in my account that's from Travelzoo and it's fly from Michigan to Honolulu for $400. And the offer was only available for 2 hours. And I had to make this split second decision of did I want to pick up my life and change everything as a broke college student? And after I purchased that ticket, I had $100 to my name. So it was sink or swim. I had to make sure that I could make this work. So as soon as I landed in Hawaii, I had to get a job. And this adorable pregnant woman waddles into this mailbox, etc. place that I'm working at. And she's faxing in a Juice Plus order form. And that is how Juice Plus originally was introduced to me. Now, I was way too cool for many, many years, but I ended up becoming her nanny through college. She was a personal trainer. Her husband was going through med school, I guess. He's this incredible doctor now. And I would sneak the gummies with the kids when I was babysitting them. But the reality is I was walking in with a bag of McDonald's, a paper sack every single time I was babysitting their kids, and their kids were eating spinach by the handfuls out of the refrigerator. And I was like, these kids are not normal. So they paid me really well to go to a Juice Plus event. And I had already made it up in my head. I was not buying these vitamins. I was just going to go for the quick buck and I was out of there. And I really wasn't open to the idea of this, but I did understand from that point on that we needed to eat more fruits and vegetables. That hit me, but I didn't make any changes to do that. So luckily, while my husband was deployed, a nurse friend of his contacted him at the same time and was like, yo, you're not eating a wide variety of fruits and vegetables. Let's be real. Get your credit card out. I got some stuff. And he didn't question it at all. So he bought Juice Plus and mailed me some from Iraq. And when I got the box, I rolled my eyes and ate it to prove him wrong. Now here I am 17 years later, being able to eat a humble piece of pie. So we were customers that canceled and then got back on. But what really made a difference is I read a book called The China Study and I realized, cold turkey, I went vegan. I dropped all my bad eating habits and became a plant-based eater. But I realized there was no such thing as too many fruits and vegetables. So that is when Juice Plus made sense to me. So I went back to Dr. Dave and Monica, the people who introduced it to me. And I was going to do this just to offset the cost of my product. I wasn't going to work the business at all, especially because I had invested $50,000 into a film business that same within a couple months of each other that had owned me. But I was in a deep, deep, dark place. My husband and I had just gotten married and he had deployed yet again to a combat zone. And, we had just gotten done planning a funeral just in case he didn't come home. And it was just a really tough place for a 27-year-old girl to be. And I knew as a military family, we weren't making much money. And like I said, $50,000 investment to a business. So I thought, why not? I'll offset the costs. And as conversations came up, I hit VF and then I slow tracked to SC and really didn't care. But then I went to conference and saw this vision of people were hitting NMD in 5 years. And I thought, well, that'd be cool if it happened, and it exactly happened. Like, I had NMD in 5 years. So it's amazing what that setting of intention can do for you. And what it's done for me is, it allowed me to pay off my student loans. It allowed me to buy a brand new car. A couple years ago, I was able to help my husband get out of full-time military. We just moved back to Hawaii to my dream place, and we bought a home. So I don't do this to impress you guys. I do it to impress upon you that this business, this little side hustle, is a really big deal if you treat it that way, but if you also have that mindset in it. So the other thing it did is a big defining moment for me, was huge, and I almost left it out of my story, is I got a call that nobody ever wants to get, and that was that my dad was dying because of reasons that could have been prevented. And the military had just moved us, I think our 8th time in 6 years. And I had to fly home to say goodbye to my dad, not knowing if I'd ever see him again. And 2 days later, he passed away in my presence. And we would be having a completely different conversation if I wasn't able to say goodbye, because I had a $20,000 film project that I was working on, and I had to put my entire film crew on hold so that I can make it home. And I realized that it was time to hang up my camera and my lenses and close up shop and align with this company, because there were too many people that should not be saying goodbye to their family members at such an early stage. So that is when I drew the line and said, screw it, I'm doing it. And our team did it. And, pretty fast, once I made the decision, I was stuck at sales coordinator for 4 years and hit NMD a year later. So I've done the slow way and I've done the fast way. So, but what I found is mindset is the biggest thing. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys and kind of go through a very big work in progress thing that a presentation that I'm working on. And I totally failed. Look, you guys can be an NMD and not have your slides ready to go. Hold on a second. I thought I had them up. I'm like, where are they? I don't even remember what they're called. Hold on a second. I'm so sorry, you guys. Bear with me.
You are perfectly fine.
Okay, here they are. They're up now. All right, let me share my screen. Okay, so I'm struggling with the title. This came about when I was on this call with Mitra Ray and one of my downline who was like fast tracking VFs in 2 weeks time. She was just like killing it. And then we were talking to one of her fast track to VFs who, after 2 weeks, all of a sudden she got stuck. And it was this conversation of realizing that we do have a lot of people, maybe I'm just speaking for my team, but what I notice is that we have a lot of VFs that take a knee and they don't move on to qualifying. And I want to change that. And what I'm finding is we really got to focus on mindset. So it's not just, so you're a VF, now what? It really should be, so you've reached a new level, now what? I was talking to Kristen Hilmer. I don't know if you guys know who she is, brand new NMD from this conference. And she just spent 5 days at a very intimate GoPro event with Eric Worre and these 6 and 7 figure earners. And what she was telling me was, Christie, it's no different from where we're at as national marketing directors to where people are at the beginning of the business. We all need to just follow the tried and proven system that we have and continue to talk to people and stay out of management mode and keep our mindset on point. So whether you, now I know your uplines in this team, so I know you have a really good upline support, but there are some people who, in sidelines that fall by the wayside and don't have anybody to take care of them. But what I want to say is, whether you have that or not, we have no excuses. We have a system that is available for everyone. So we have the mission-driven model. We have the Freedom Revolution. You have your team calls like this. And what I look back as, like I said, we just moved back to Hawaii, and I opened my notebook from my very first Seattle Summit, and in the notes were step-by-step instructions on how you exactly get to National Marketing Director. You just follow the system. And I've had this information in my pocket the entire time. I just didn't act on it. And it's more than that. It's not that I just didn't act on it. It's that it was all me. I had to be the one that was ready to make that decision and to draw the line in the sand and say, yes, it's go time. I'm going to make sure that it happens. So it's all the mindset. So my goal is to normalize this conversation of mindset. This should be a conversation that we have with our brand new reps, even prior to joining this business or right at their new rep launch. It's everything. I am lucky where I grew up with a mom and an aunt who talked to me about mindset as a little girl all the time. I mean, I was the kid with a hippie mom and aunt who would talk about visualization and mantras and mudras and oh my, like all that kind of stuff. And I felt like the kid that didn't belong. No one else's moms were doing that. But I'm so grateful that she taught me this. When I moved out here and didn't have any money, she didn't give me any. She told me to affirm it and write these affirmations. And I thought she was crazy, but it worked. And all this stuff just kind of happened. I mean, who says they want to go to school in a place that's really warm and all of a sudden a $400 ticket appears in, a matter of time in their email? It was these intentions that I was making, but there was this point where I was like, oh my gosh, this isn't normal. Not everybody's doing this, but realizing now later that we all have the power to have that. It's just we're not doing it. And I was so worried about what other people were thinking and trying to fit into that mold of what everyone else was doing that I stopped thinking that way. And I started to work harder, not smarter. And I did that for a really long time until 3 years ago when I was pushing for NMD. And the reality is, it's kind of like I was Dorothy. I had to click my heels. I had it in me the entire time, and you guys do too. So just going back to the ground level stuff though, right now, just making the notice with the VFs who take in me, I want you to first recognize if you're their upline, it's not your fault. Again, they have all the tools that they could possibly do. They've got to have a wantingness, versus a willingness, not a wantingness, and next, I want to make sure that we are planting these seeds. And it's not just important for our new reps to know the verbiage and how to talk to people properly, to be professionals, but it's also important for us to say how we talk to ourselves is the most important, because it's going to set the pace for the new language that we have to create this movement. So the magic dust is, what you did to get to VF, nothing changes. You just got to up the ante on your customer care and your distributor care, and the consistency that stays with that is the most important thing. So we have the funnel, and Mitra Ray is my upline. So she brought in Brian Marsh. I don't know if you guys know who he is or if you have the recordings. If you don't have it, Stacy, let me know and I can hook you up with it. But he talks all about this funnel. It's amazing. So the funnel is creating curiosity, moving into conversations, inviting to events, doing your follow-up, and having a 3-way call. And it's wash, rinse, repeat. So the problem is that systems are duplicatable, but people are not. If it was that easy, to know the funnel and to put it into action and not reinvent the wheel, we'd have so many more people hitting NMD at conference. So think about this. If we think about it from a difference between an entrepreneurial brain set and an employee mindset, is if this was your job, if someone was paying you hourly to work the funnel as your system, you would do it because someone else is counting on you. Someone is paying you to do this. You don't want to lose your job. But the moment we sign that distributor fee, all of a sudden we're trying to reinvent the wheel and we're trying to do things so many other different ways, and we're letting fear get in the way versus the love, the reason why we got into this business. So I'll give you an example. In college, I was working for this nonprofit organization. And one day my boss came up to me and handed me a list of 100 people that I needed to call and ask for donations, to ask for money. And I didn't have any training in sales. I didn't have any training in actually talking to people. And I was scared to do this, 100 people. But I can tell you this, I have never reached out to 100 people in my business with my Juice Plus business, but I did it because someone else paid me hourly. So to me, I know that even though I've hit this position in the company, I'm still playing small, and I want to be real with you guys and say that there are moments in time where I've played big, but I haven't been consistent with it. So I challenge you guys all to be accountable with one another so that we can all as a collective play big. But we've got to flex that entrepreneurial brain. I guarantee as a kid, you had a lemonade stand, or maybe you created some art and you tried to sell it on a roadside stand and you didn't care what people thought about you. When did we stop love the art of sales? Everybody's doing it whether they want to admit it or not. When did we start worrying about what other people thought of us? Who got in your head and who infected you? Because that's exactly what happens. When somebody doubts you, when somebody says no to you, they've infected you, and you, in essence, are allowing people to steal your dreams. And when I think about Mitra Ray, she worked with, you guys probably know who Joy Kelly is. She worked on getting Joy Kelly to join the business with her for at least a year. And that energy trickled down the leash, because when Joy Kelly finally decided to make that decision, she has worked on people like 50 Club Ali Schneider. She worked for her on 4 months, never even meeting Ali. She just kept picking up the phone and calling Ali, and Ali finally get on the phone to see what the heck this woman wanted. Amy Meyer, 24 Club NMD, Joy Kelly worked on her for months as well. And how many NMDs, I want to ask you, by us playing small, how many NMDs are we missing out on by letting the no's impact us, by letting us be affected? So when someone says, treat this, when we talk about saying treat this like a cold, you got to inoculate yourself. You got to take an antibody. But remember, colds don't last forever. They are temporary. So yes, people are going to take you down in this business. How long can you take a hit? How long do you have to sit down and recover and take a hit? If you look at how we're going to fight a cold, we're going to triple up on our Juice Plus. We're going to eat lots of plants, drink lots of water, get lots of sleep. We've got to boost our immune system so we can fight the cold. Well, the same goes to how do we boost our immune system when somebody gives us a no, when we take that hit. So it's not enough to be just a pro at the funnel, at the system. It's how we're managing our energy. So part of inoculating ourselves when we get infected is learning how to control that. So if you're confident, everyone in the room is going to feel that confidence. But if you are self-sabotaging, if you are nervous, if you are doubtful, people are going to feel it. So how do you change that? You can't wait for the energy to pass. You've got to take the initiative to find out what works for you. So I'm going to give you another example. So like I said, my background is film. I used to film these very high-end weddings here in Hawaii, and I could wake up, listen to some awesome music, and be super excited about my day. And then I could get to the bride's room, knock on the door, and the moment someone opens the door, I could feel their energy, whether it was higher energy than mine or whether it was anger, stress, and I would find that it would impact me. I was a little sensitive to the whole thing, and I found that I needed to change the way things happen because I couldn't let someone's negativity impact the rest of my day. I couldn't let them steal my joy. So I had to put up this deflector shield and attack it as if I am in charge of bringing the energy to the room. If the energy is negative in that room, I've got to bring the energy to make it better, to, looking at the same way. If we're inviting people to take a look at our product or our mission, do we need to listen to some really good music before we have that conversation with somebody? Amy Meyer does the power pose. If you've ever seen her do that, she's like famous for the power pose. But for you, what do you need to do to raise your vibrations? And if you guys want to brainstorm in the chat and type in some things that you like to do, because it's not about what works for me, it's about what works for you. And maybe you can put in some ideas. For me, if I am getting pulled behind a boat on a board, I am cloud nine, thinking of nothing else. If I am indoor skydiving, nothing in the world is going to bother me. And that is actually what I should be doing every day, is doing the stuff that raises my vibrations so much that I can go out in the world and continue to share this mission with other people. So what is it? What works for you? What's fun? Do you like to do yoga? Do you like to knit? It's okay if you want to knit. It's totally cool if that raises your vibrations. And you know what? I'm going to give you permission. You can have a binge movie day on Netflix. It's okay. Just turn the TV off eventually. So brainstorm with your team, because you guys are accountable to one another. Nietzsche talks about us having a win journal. Before we go to bed, we need to write down the things that we did and celebrate those wins. So even if we brushed our teeth and took our Juice Plus that day, that's a win. We can't talk about how we failed at not going to the gym again, or didn't reach out to those 10 people. The great thing is if you brush your teeth every single day, you have your teeth. So take that consistency with how you work your business. If you work your business a little bit every single day, you've got wins. And the other thing is check some stuff off your bucket list that you've never done. If you've never gone skydiving, go skydiving. That is going to make you feel alive, but you're also going to meet some thrill seekers. So those are the types of people that you may want in your business. So who are you going to add to your funnel? Who are you going to meet? And then thinking about, hitting the immune system with these no's, remember that we've got to fail forward. My husband was looking at some startup companies in the Silicon Valley, and they wouldn't hire people unless they had a list of failures, things that they've overcome, because it shows resiliency. It shows problem solving skills. They can take a hit and keep going. And that's whenever I have a guest speaker on my team, I always ask, what would you do differently? How did you fail your way to NMD? So many people have said, like, what did you do to get to NMD? It's not what I did, it's what I overcome. So there, in this business, it involves a lot of things between the ears, and a lot of it is the fear factor, dealing with our fears. So there's two very different types of fear. I don't know if you knew that or not, but according to this guy, Alan Liu, he's a writer and a spiritual teacher. He says there's two types of fear. Pachad and Yura. And y'all, I could be really butchering the actual pronunciation of the names, but Pachad is the fear of projected or imagined things. It's like the acronym, false evidence appearing real. And, it's kind of like the shitty first drafts that we put in our heads. The things that, if I keep asking someone to join my team, they'll never want to be my friend. They're going to think I'm being salesy. What if they say no to me? I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm going to say something stupid. It's the fear that often comes through the inner critic that's in our head. And the yara is the other version of fear. It's that feeling that overcomes us when we step into a larger space than we're used to. It's that energy that we get, the experience, and we suddenly come into something that's bigger than ourselves. And kind of like this, when you get that feeling, it's, what it is? It's when someone goes to conference and they see the greater picture and they send you a Voxer and they say, okay, I'm ready to be a national marketing director. And then you wait for the pause. You hear this excitement in their voice, but then they say, but I'm so scared. That is yara. That is a good energy. That is a good fear, but it also does have a little bit of, pachad in there, but that's okay. But that's a time when you've got to leap and you want to be able to take these moments and say, okay, let's tap into this energy. Let's make it happen and know that we're going to fall forward to it. So we've got to recognize and name the fear that's happening with some, here's some real life examples. How many of you guys had your kids go back to school yesterday or today? Did you guys see the photos on, first day of school? That is a feeling of yara, that energy. Right before a basketball game, being a guest speaker on this team call, it's yara. It's a different energy. Pachad is kind of like the noise that you would hear outside your house at night, and all of a sudden you make up in your head that someone's trying to break in. It's Brene Brown calls it foreboding joy, when you can go in and watch your child sleeping and be in so much awe and love of them, and in the same moment, fear that something bad is going to happen to them. That's Pachad. So when you get yara, when you get that spring and that inspiration, this is when you want to welcome it and savor it. But a lot of times, especially at the beginning part of this business, it's Pachad full on. So we want to make sure that we tap into our inner mentor, and I'll fill you in on them in a second. But you can also look at the leaders in this business and just think, what would Stacy do? And follow that, and choose to invite love in. I think so many times we are choosing fear over love, and we know that this community is full of love. So staying in that track, but also getting curious. If we do have these fears, what do we need to dig into? What's the reason for this fear? And maybe it's journaling about it. Maybe it's talking about it. But we got to come to this realization that we've got to figure out why this is happening. Otherwise, it's going to be this repeating moment. And reconnect with your desire to serve. I mean, people who join this business, they join this because they want to help people. So stay connected with your community. Stay connected with these calls. Stay in the room. And then also, it's okay to follow fear to the end game. I think fear paralyzes us so much that we don't even think what the end game is. But for example, so many people, and I included, sometimes I'm like, oh God, I've really done bad customer care, and now I've got to call my customer. Their shipment's due in like 10 days. What if they're going to delay? What if they want to cancel on me? So what if they cancel? I was a customer who canceled, and then I joined the business, and now I see this. So what? The question to ask yourself is, but did you die? You're not going to die in this business. There's no fruit and veggie emergency. So follow the fear to the end game. And then, you know what? Sometimes it's also good to just find some silence, do some breath work, some visualization, and release that tension and see where that excitement is going to go. But also realize that all of that fear from Pachad is coming from something called your inner critic. And first I want to say it is the voice of not you, although it does exist inside you. So everyone has one, even your leadership. I guarantee if you were to ask them if they had an inner critic, they would probably say yes. But they are the reason for the shitty first drafts in our head. Think of it like a roommate. If you guys are watching TV and the roommate keeps saying, well, why did they do this? What's going to happen next? And you're just like, I just want a quiet night of watching TV and for you to not ask me any more questions. The roommate is never going to go away. They're going to constantly be talking to you. But what we've got to learn is, how do we live with the inner critic? Because they're going nowhere. We want to hear the voice, but not take directions from it. And just remember that It's kind of like your family when you first joined Juice Plus and you told them about it and they all wanted to protect you by telling you it was a pyramid scheme. That's the same way as your inner critic. So when you hear this inner critic attack, first understand that it is great news because it means that you're playing bigger. And secondly, it means that you're kind of waking that little sleeping giant that's at the edge of your comfort zone. So notice and name it. This is where, and I'm going to let you guys meet my inner critic in a second. I'm going to unveil her. But this is where I say Helda, because that's her name. I hope I don't offend anybody. But Helda, I have this covered. I got this. You don't need to worry about me. So y'all ready to meet her? This is Helda. Come on, would you seriously listen to her? You can't listen to a lady like Helda. She wears a pink pantsuit every single day, eats Lucky Charms, and smokes a pack of cigarettes for breakfast. She is from New Jersey. She has an abrasive accent. Do you really want to take control from Helda? Are you really going to let her infect you? So at the same time, though, as abrasive she is, as negative as she is, she's also very loyal and hardworking. And she, like I said, she really wants what's best for me. So I try to love her where she's at with her closed-mindedness. And when she starts getting loud, I just tell her, Helda, I know you're trying to help me, but I've got this. So some things to think about with this inner critic is you cannot win an argument with them. So you don't want to create a war and tell them to shut up. You just, again, want to tell them you got this. Your relationship with them is going to change because as you do personal growth, there's new level, new devil. They're going to change too. And no matter how amazing your initial results are, you think you get rid of them, they're going to come back. So my goal with this inner critic is to normalize them. You know, how many of you guys have sat down and painted this vision with your brand new team member and they want to pay for their kids' college or they want to save their family from losing a home, and you're so invested in this dream, like Karen Jones says, you are the keeper of their dreams. And then all of a sudden, they're not answering your calls, they're not responding to your texts, and every time like they run into you, they'll talk to you about everything else, but the minute you say Juice Plus, they change the subject. It's because they're in their head. And I feel like I could be like, Stacy, friend, I know you're in your head right now. Let's just talk. But it's not easy for them. So I think the normalization would just be to be like, Christy, Helda is at it again. And I can be like, all right, let's get her to knock it off. Like that's just an easier transition to deal with it. But I think we really, with the Juice Plus company, need to say that this is a real thing. But once you discover that we do have an inner critic, I want you to also realize that there is an inner mentor inside all of us. So on this slide, just take a screenshot of this. Go to this website. There's a great 10-minute visualization that you can do by yourself, and you can figure out you can meet your inner mentor, and just keep a journal next to you, write some ideas, just see what it does. You know, I know there's a little crazy ideas that I have sometimes, but hey, never try, never know, right? So the easiest way I can describe your inner mentor to your inner critic is you've got the devil on one side of your shoulder and the angel on the other. Your inner mentor is your North Star. They're always going to be a better version of you because you are always going to be growing. But that inner mentor is waiting patiently for Helda to quit talking so that they can show up and guide you in a way. Okay? So I'm almost done, but bear with me. This is where it's going to get a little bit weird. Like I said, my background is film. And I said the reason why I really decided to make this business work was because I lost my dad because of reasons that could have been prevented. And I believe that no one should have to go through that. And I believe that we are the messengers to be able to help people know that there is an option. You know, Jesus didn't convert everyone over to Christianity. I'm not going to convert everyone to Juice Plus, but I'm going to try. So when my dad passed, there was a lot of questions that went through my head. What's he doing? What's it like on the other side? You know, is he watching me? What is the first thing that happens when you pass through the pearly gates? So I have a film mind. So I imagine that you walk through the pearly gates and you get ushered into an empty theater where you either get to watch the documentary of your life or you have to. So if you are living a complacent life and you're not playing big, you're constantly hiding and playing small, that's going to be a really boring documentary with no plot to watch and sit through, because you guys are all Juice Plusers. You're going to live for a long time. So I don't want you to watch a boring documentary. And if you're living a bad life right now, or you have in the past, you always have the opportunity to change that. But I want you to get to watch you win day after day after day. So if you look at how can you impact others, how can you silence that inner critic, know that they're there, but tap into that inner mentor and realize that there is no fruit and veggie emergency. Understand how to dig back. What type of fear are you actually experiencing? And how do we play big? How do we play a documentary that we would absolutely be proud of when our time comes? So that's my mindset training. Does anyone have any questions?
That was amazing. I don't have a question. I'm just like bubbling.
I'm with you, Christy. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, it's so true. Like when you talk about, you know, people that then fall off, and it's just because we get in our own head, you know. So now I would like to ask you just real quick, what is something that you had to get past to move on to NMD?
Oh my gosh, the I'm too cool syndrome, like suffered from that big time. I mean, I was a big head honcho cinematographer, you know, to be able to say that I was a network marketer and knowing that most of my friends thought of, you know, bad situations with it, that was really hard for me to get past.
Now, how did you get past that?
I read GoPro and I realized at some point it wasn't about me anymore. It was really, I really try to serve as like, don't wait for a tragedy strike for you to realize that this is your time. This is your mission. You know, really understanding the belief in the company that we have, you know, our products you should be bulletproof in. You know, they talk about the 4 Bs, but I think if I wouldn't have lost my dad, I don't know if I would have been to that point. You know, like I said, I went to conference and they were like, oh yeah, you can make NMD in 5 years. And I was like, oh, well, that'd be cool. You know, but I wasn't like, it's going to happen. But the health of my dad and the loss of him was a big deciding factor. And not to mention I'm the only child. So when I left my mom to go back home and get ready to move across the country again, you know, winter was coming. I said, what is that show? Winter is coming. I was knocking on everybody's home saying, my dad just died. Can you check on my mom over the winter? Like, that sucks to not be able to be there for your parent. And I wanted to be able to have a life where I could make sure that my mom was going to be taken care of.
Oh, girl, you are such a light. Like just listening to you, and you know, honestly, how do you feel like as a national marketing director now? Like you can just tell it just comes out of you to help more people do the same thing.
Oh, I want to birth NMDs like you have no idea. Like it's just, I think that I'm going to cry harder when I have my first NMD than I did for myself. You know,
right.
I just, everyone can get here. I know they say it, but really for real, you can get here. It is so worth it. And you get to do things that you never thought you could do before. I never thought that I was going to want to sell fruits and vegetables in a capsule. That's not what I'm selling. You know, I'm selling an opportunity for people to grow their health and to grow their lives and become better people for the people that they want to be around, you know, and everyone should be able to wake up with that purpose every morning. I just totally believe it.
Oh, Christy, girl, you're amazing. I absolutely love that. Does anybody have any questions for her before we end the call? Anybody?
There was.
Sheila?
Yeah.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could just briefly just state real quick the bullets again of the funnel, because I just want to
yeah, absolutely. It's create curiosity, which turns into conversation, which allows you to invite to events, and then you follow up from that, and then you close the deal by doing a 3-way call.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Love that. Good question. Anybody else? Well, we have her. Miss Hawaii. There you go.
Yeah. So do you do daily mantras still? And if you do, is it like morning and night? What is your regular daily practice?
Yes. So I wish I could tell you how awesome I was going for NMD, because I was legit on it. I was I was setting my timer every hour doing 10 minutes of affirmations. And then it fizzled after we hit NMD, and it shouldn't have. But I try to focus on waking up every single morning with thinking immediately when my eyes open, the first thing I think of is, what am I grateful for? Because we talked about this in Brave Leaders a lot, is the idea of waking up and the first thought is scarcity. I didn't get enough sleep, and then their whole day trickles into that. Before your feet even hit the floor, you don't have enough, and that changes everything. So I'm trying to immediately think of 3 things that I'm grateful for right away and get into that habit. And then I do like to do affirmations. I obviously love the image affirmations, but there are some really good ones with Jen Sincero. There's Lauren LaHave's got her I Am cards. No matter what it is, I think just being able to have that repetition is really important. But I truly believe that when you wake up and when you go to bed is powerful. But it's not just that. It's saying it with emotion. If a mantra or an affirmation doesn't resonate with you, then don't waste your time on it. Invest your time into something where you can feel that emotion, because it is the power of the visualization and the emotion, which, creates that real habit in your brain.
You must have read Train Your Brain.
I read it years ago.
Yes. We're reading as a team right now. So
the lemon thing is what got me. Like, do you guys remember the lemon visualization? I've been doing it to my team for years, and they're like, we know about the lemon, but it's so powerful.
Well, will you just share it real quick, just because not everybody's reading it? Just share the lemon part real quick, and then.
Yes, absolutely. It's my favorite part. So close your eyes, and I want you to imagine that you're walking into your kitchen, and you see your refrigerator. Take your hand out, open the door, and feel a blast of cold air on your face. And then I want you to look into the refrigerator, and you're going to see a big yellow lemon sitting on the top shelf. You pick it up, and you can feel this sucker's heavy. It's big and juicy. You can feel the pockets of the peel on your hand. Bring it over to the cutting board, pull out your sharpest knife, and slice that thing in half, and grab one piece of the lemon and squeeze it into your mouth. If you didn't salivate, raise your hand. Oh, so you know what that says is it means that your brain doesn't know the difference between real and fake. So when you tell yourself, I'm not good enough, I can't hit this position, guess what? Your brain believes it, and it's going to perform because of the way it believes. So we got to be really cautious with our words. And I'm just going to back it up with some research, because we are all about research with Juice Plus. There is a research study, and they talk about it in the book. I think it's with the University of Chicago. And they took 3 groups of people. And the first group, all 3 groups shot free throws in basketball for an hour, and they took the average, right? You know where I'm going?
Yep.
So the first group, they're the placebo group. They say, go home, don't touch a basketball, don't think about a basketball, come back 30 days later. Group B, shoot baskets for an hour for the next 30 days. Group C, don't touch a basketball, but visualize you making those free throws every single day for an hour, come back in 30 days. Group A, the placebo group, no change, no improvement. Group B, 24% improvement on free throw shots. But here's the kicker. Group C, the ones who meditated on it, 23% increase without touching a ball.
It's crazy.
So I don't know about you when you're going for NMD, Stacy or Julie, but I would visualize my NMD journey every time when I woke up in the morning and every time I went to bed. To the point where I could feel what my feet felt like inside my cowboy boots as I was walking up on stage, who was carrying my plaque, what my team looked like in the front. And that, I believe, was the big reason why our team hit it, is because I believed it.
Oh, I love it. Christie, you're amazing. You're such a blessing. I can't thank you enough for jumping on here and sharing your wealth of knowledge and mindset, because it truly is. So many times we focus in on, how to, when really in our mind, if your mind, you can teach how all you want, but until your mind, lets you do it, it's, So you're awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to let everybody unmute and thank her. Oh, I loved it.
Thank you.
Thank you.